Anyway, keep your views coming into us on the programme in 0667 666. You can text us in 083 300 3300. Now, Dr. Maurice J. Gleeson is an international expert and speaker on DNA, and in particular Irish DNA. He's going to be conducting several DNA-related talks and roundtable discussions for the Genealogy Event, which takes place in Adair this August. And he's on the line because it follows on from our piece we did yesterday about the release and the digitisation of the Catholic Parish Archives on the National Library of Ireland for anyone looking to trace their roots. Maurice, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the programme.
No problem. Now, we were talking yesterday about the release of the archives of Catholic parishes, the births, deaths and marriage registers going back several hundred years, and it'll help a lot of people who are looking to find out where they came from. Your sort of genealogy tracing is using DNA, and you found some very interesting results from tracing people back many, many years.
Oh, indeed, I have. I think the parish registers are going to make a huge difference. They're not indexed, that's the only problem. So you will still need to go onto websites like Roots Ireland and Family Search to actually find the index record. And then once you have that, then you can get into the records themselves. But DNA is certainly making a big impact in Irish genealogy. And I've been using it now for the last 8 years or so. And I've got several surname projects on, including the Spearin project. The Spearins were some of my ancestors. My great-great-grandfather was a Spearin. And through using DNA, I've been able to break through my brick wall, which was at the 1800 time point, as it is for many people doing Irish genealogy, and get back into the early 1700s and the late 1600s in Limerick. So it certainly has been very successful in my particular instance. How
does it allow you to do that? It's traced through the father, the Y DNA, is it?
The Y DNA is, yes, absolutely. There's three types of DNA. And if you just have a simple cheek swab and send the results off to the lab, you'll get the data back in about 6 to 12 weeks. If you do the Y DNA test, that goes back along your father's line, as does your surname. So the Y DNA is very good for surname research. And then on the other side of your family tree, on your mother's line, you can do what's called mitochondrial DNA, and that'll take you back along that line. And that goes back, well, both the Y and the mitochondrial go back 200,000 years. So it takes us back into Africa before the last major human exodus out of Africa 50,000 years ago. And it's very nice to see that migration route of humans out of Africa into Europe and into Ireland.
That's where it all started. But for you, you assumed you were Irish as Irish could be.
I certainly did, and then I was in for a little bit of a shock. I think everybody does. If you do your family tree, you'll find that you're Irish, and then suddenly you hit a couple of surnames you think, they don't sound very Irish at all.
Yeah.
So when I got back to about 1800, which is where most people hit their brick wall, I found I had a Simpson, and Simpson is not an Irish name. It's either English or Scottish. I also had a Morgan, which could be Irish, but it could be Welsh as well. And then I had the Spearin surname, which is rather unusual, and it turns out that they're probably Dutch. So I'm a mongrel, and I think a lot of people, if they go back that far, they'll find that they have that fascinating ethnic mix as well.
Yeah, and it brings into sharp focus, I suppose, the assumptions people have about ethnicity and where they originally came from going back through the years. Is it expensive, DNA profiling, for this reason?
Oh, no, not at all now. It's come down in price incredibly over the last 10 years, and now you can get a DNA test for as cheap as $59 would be the cheapest I've seen, which is about what? It's about 45, 50 euro.
That's very achievable, yeah.
Yeah, and for the standard, which would be the autosomal DNA, which looks at all of your ancestral lines, not just your mother's and your father's, that just goes for $99, which is about 85 euro. And that will connect you with about 600 genetic cousins that you never knew existed.
Yeah, this is the thing, I suppose. Maurice, can I ask you, you're involved in another project and it kind of tells the story of maybe going through the brick walls beyond the 1800s and the kind of amazing things that happened to large sections of the population here. I want you to have a listen, and the listeners to have a listen to this. This is to a father and son living in Barbados in the Caribbean, who have Irish ancestry, who would have been known as redlegs, colloquially in Barbados, that would have gone after the Cromwellian invasion in Ireland. Have a little listen to this.
I bought the works here, so to work on plantation, right? But I couldn't really manage the son. And that's how I think that's how they get the name of the red legs, right? Because the sun scorched them, like burn them up. Right? So that is how I understand it.
It came around to that red leg thing. All the youngsters nowadays, just looking at you and saying, oh, you was this and that. Just get to know you first, and then make a judgment. Yeah,
you still got a lot of racism there, though. Cause first thing is that about the skin and thing, and they try to keep it down and things like for years gone back, like slavery days and all that kind of foolishness that still know that race who the boy that
cause
them to be slaves and things, They still try to keep it down, I think.
But I just have one thing to tell them. I asked them, I was born 400 years ago. I don't know about slavery. I come into free next.
There you go. That's the pretty West Indian accents of two guys, and that's available on YouTube. That clip is part of a couple of documentaries that have been done about this. They're talking about the issues of racism that they face as being called redlegs. But the two of them look like, one of them looks like he could play for the Kerry Miners. You wouldn't be surprised if you saw him lining up for the Kerry Miners. They look completely Irish.
Yes. No, the Redlegs are a fascinating group of people in Barbados, and they've been beset by a lot of problems over the years. There's a lot of genetic problems in that group because they've been ostracised historically by the rest of society. They've tended to stick to themselves, and of course, any group that sticks to itself tends to get these genetic problems as well. So there's a lot of diabetes, there's a lot of congenital blindness, various other problems as well. But it's a fascinating story, and it links back to Cromwell and what happened in Ireland during that time. It depends who you read, but probably about somewhere between 10,000 and 130,000 people were actually sent off to Barbados from Ireland by Cromwell as prisoners of war largely, but a lot of people also volunteered to go out as indentured servants as well. So I'm particularly interested in finding out what is the Irish genetic footprint in the Caribbean today. Does it still exist, or has it just died out completely? Because a lot of people did not survive the harsh climate of Barbados and the West Indies. Yeah,
they wouldn't have been able to handle the diseases that were out there, the mosquitoes, the malaria, whatever else was happening at the time.
Exactly. And I was in Montserrat, which is the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean.
Yeah, the only other country in the world that has St. Patrick's Day as a national holiday.
And it goes on for a whole week, so how Irish is that? And they're very, very proud of their Irish heritage. I was chatting with one chap who said he thinks that they're more proud of the Irish heritage than the African heritage. Yeah. Which is very interesting.
And would they be able to, through DNA, trace back to the area, perhaps, of Ireland where they came from? Would that be possible?
I think it would be possible, and it would be possible for anybody, Irish Americans, Irish Australians, Irish Canadians, anybody in the Irish diaspora, which is 80 million strong, would be able to potentially trace back using the DNA, preferably the Y DNA. That would give them their father's line, because that can go back, like I say, 200,000 years. And we're making great headway with a lot of the surname projects that have been created. And there's 8,000 surname projects being run at the moment, 8,000 surnames being researched. A lot of them are Irish. And there's also quite a few geographic projects as well. And we're going to be having a lot of these projects discussed at Back to Our Past in Dublin in October, 9, 10, 11. There'll be a whole series of DNA lectures there. And we'll also be talking about it at the Genealogy Event in Limerick on August 21st and 22nd. And the entire Saturday is given over to DNA.
Yeah, it'll be incredible. Michael in Tralee gets in touch regarding foreign names. Says Costello is actually Italian and Cotter is Norwegian. The Cotter is noted as one of the very few Irish families of verifiable Norse descent to survive the Norman invasion of Ireland. That's maybe the Vikings. A family manuscript claims the Cotters are descendants of Otter of Dublin, son of Mac Otter, who was the king of Dublin from 1142 to 1148. The Gaelic Mac Cotter was originally Mac Otter, meaning descendant of Otter. So that an example, I suppose, if you go back far enough, it may not always be an Irish line that you have.
Oh, indeed, absolutely. And, we've had the Vikings, we've had the Normans, we've had the Galloglass, we've had the Huguenots, the Palatines. There's Rathkeel in Limerick used to be the New York City of its day. It was a real ethnic melting pot. So, and those ethnic influences are probably still alive today in the DNA that every one of us carries around with us.
Yeah, look, it's fascinating stuff. And for anyone who hits that wall, as a lot of people do, DNA is probably the way to go. Maurice, look, it's been very interesting talking to you. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. That event, again, is on in Adair in August. It is in the Fitzgerald's Woodlands House Hotel on the 21st and 22nd. It's the genealogyevent.com, the website to go to. And if you are searching, you are interested, it's one way certainly to go and trace yourself way back. Maurice Leeson on the line there talking about that. If you have a view on it, get in touch with us on the programme, 0667 123 666, the number to call us on. We'll have more in